Hi guys, Amber Carlson with RE/MAX Elite here. If you're just joining my channel, thanks so much for watching. I've been a real estate agent for almost 13 years here in the Nashville, Tennessee area. I've been a resident for over 25 years. I feel like I know the area pretty good. And just when I think I know I've seen it all in real estate, it's just beginning. And there is always a new obstacle or a new hurdle in real estate, and I thought I would just share my experience with you. I cannot reiterate enough how crucial it is to make sure you've got a good lender. Go with typically your agent's referral. If your agent is referring a lender, we don't get any kickbacks from that. We're just going with lenders that we know can get from contract to close very smoothly, very well documented and communicated with all parties. There are so many different moving parts and there are so many different people involved in a real estate transaction. We are not just collecting a paycheck on a breath. So there is the processor, there's the lender, there's the appraiser, there's the title company, there's the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the client, and then there's all the different inspections that take place. So with my particular buyer, and I'm getting ready to go into a closing right now that's about 8 days past due. We had to file an extension on an addendum form because the loan was not ready. We ended up having to switch the loan back into both buyers' name rather than just one. There was a bad credit on her credit report that needed to get taken care of. Luckily, she has amazing family that just jumped in there and was willing to pay that bad debt off. I can rest assure you that that does not happen about 99% of the time. And with that being said, about 99% of the time, a loan will not close. My buyer at that point, when we found that out, was already about $900 into this transaction of buying her first home. Sweet couple, first-time home buyers. They had been talked to in the process as we were going along. Everybody was communicating well, but we just had a lender that my buyer wanted to work with. I had never worked with him before, but I had met with him. I was trusting of him. He had 34 years experience. We were unaware, and when I say we, I mean the lender, the title company, and myself were unaware of that the processors were changed mid transaction, which is never a good thing. We ended up having to submit emails again on documents that were missing. And granted, it's still a good day because we're getting to closing. My buyers are excited. It was extremely stressful for them. I told them this is not a normal situation. This is not how the home buying process goes. But I feel like I'm a little bit off the hook because it was a lender that I did not work with before. I did not recommend. It was someone that she had met on her job, and they had promised her all these things as far as, getting a loan. So just keep that in mind. It's always best to just go with an agent's referral as to what type of lender is going to be great and what's going to get it done from contract to close with very little stress. I think we would have solved these problems much earlier in the transaction, except for the file got picked up very late in the game. It was a contract to close with about 50 days or more. And so the lender just really didn't pick up the file until we were through with inspection, we were through with appraisal, and those sorts of things that needed to take place before we could actually move on. In a real estate transaction, there are deadlines that we have to meet. So there was the appraisal deadline we had to meet. There was the proof of good credit and that they had applied for application. That was already done and complete. And the appraisal was actually about 5 days late. That was the first red flag and concern for me as an agent, is I could not get a direct answer as to why the appraisal had not been ordered. You can jeopardize the buyer's contract if you do not have that appraisal done in time. That is where the seller has the option to completely back out of the contract if the appraisal has not been done by the deadline. So you definitely want to make sure that you're following deadlines. A good agent is watching the deadlines and making sure that you're hitting those marks. That was my first red flag when I couldn't get an answer as to why the appraisal had not been ordered yet. It kind of just went from there. Luckily, we are here at closing. Always keep in mind that you need to bring a federal ID to closing. and you want to make sure that you've got your homeowner's insurance set up. You want to call about 3 weeks in advance or 4 weeks in advance prior to closing. If you've got a longer closing time, you just want to call 2 to 3 weeks in advance to make sure you have your homeowner's insurance set up. Whatever company you decide to go for insurance, that company actually sends it to the processor and the lender themselves. You also want to make sure that you've got all your inspections done and are ready to go. That typically is done within the first 7 to 10 business days on the contract. Just communicate well. It is, like I said, it's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people involved, and we all communicate really well between emails and text messages and video. And that is what you want. You want a lender that's going to communicate well, that's going to be on your side. They did work extremely hard, even though we hit many, many road bumps that we should not have hit if the file had been handled properly. So just keep that in mind. If you ever have any questions, if you ever need any help, please never hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help. There's no strings attached. I don't charge by the minute or the hour. Just trying to give you tips and feedback so that your transaction is smooth from start to finish. Thanks so much for watching. You guys have a great day.